for this week, we are going to be discussing the brand new Dave Matthews Band album, Walk Around the Moon. So, Walk Around the Moon is the 10th studio album by Dave Matthews Band. It was released on May 19, 2023. The album would debut at number 5 on the US Billboard 200. It is their first album to not debut at number 1 since 1996's Crash. All right, Eric, let's have a very meaningful and fruitful conversation about this album.
Yes. Uh I mean, there's a lot of people in this band. A lot of people in this band, and there are bands with a lot of people in them that play very well together. And
I don't like where this conversation is going.
like I like Dave Matthews, and I would love to see him live. I would love to see him live because I feel like it would be a better experience than just listening to his albums, right? Because you have all these now. That being said, right, because there's a lot of factors with Dave Matthews. Dave Matthews is one of those bands that have a really good handful of songs that are well written. I think they're cool grooves. But the thing with Dave Matthews is that he'll add stuff into the song that is just like, why are you going this way? Like, the only way I could describe it is if let's say, you're downtown Toronto, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, we're gonna drive to Richmond Hill.
Okay.
And you're like, okay.
For those of you, for background, Richmond Hill is a suburb north of Toronto.
Yeah, north of Toronto.
Yeah.
So about maybe, like, I don't know, with traffic, I don't know what it's like now, but like an hour.
Yeah, an hour.
Yeah. So you're driving there, and then all of a sudden it's just like, where are we going? Oh, we're going to go to Richmond Hill. Okay. And then your buddy takes a left on the 404 and starts driving west. And you're like, well, where are we going? Oh, we're going to go to Mississauga, and then north to Alliston, and then north to Barrie, and then come back down to Richmond Hill. Like, that's what this is like. It's like, why don't you just go to the direction that you're going with? So I don't think this band is really good at making bridges in their songs. And Walking on the Moon I was listening to it first, and I was like, this is a cool song. And then all of a sudden he goes, and it's blue, and it's red, and I was like, what is going on? And then you hear that
I hated it.
that flute, and I was like, this is a terrible song now. Like, it literally took the song and just like, they just made it like, oh yeah, you think this is a good song? Well, we're gonna make it really shit right now. Watch this. So I feel like that's the bad thing with Dave Matthews Band is I wouldn't say I like a song fully on this album. I like parts of the songs, but that doesn't make for like a good song. Like, I don't think that there's any hits on this album. Like, if I was to choose a hit on this album, I'd be like, you have the first half of Walk Around the Moon, just leave it at that, right? Because then you're playing for like however long the song is, right? Like, almost 5 minutes.
Almost, yeah.
And it's literally like, you just went into this direction that doesn't make any sense to me. There's some cool, like, I can't remember what the song was called, but it had electric guitar at the beginning, and it was like very like a heavy kind of like bluesy rock.
I think that's like Break Free. It's closer to the end, right?
Yeah, like I would say that was their like good song on the album.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah.
But like, there was a lot of that shit where it was like, you're just take a good part of the song, like, because he can write a hook. There's no doubt in my mind that he can write a hook, but he can't just like it's just like, he's like, like, look at this album art. This is a perfect explanation. Like, I don't even know what is going on this album art.
I think it's a cave.
It's a cave, but like, what else is around it? Is like, if there are mountains near the cave, or is that a rock, or is that a piece of linen? Like, that's what his mind is. His mind is just, I'm gonna take everything that I thought of today and just jumble it into one song. That is this album.
Okay, so I went into this as a irrational hater of Dave Matthews Band. Because truth be told, I've never listened to a Dave Matthews song in my life, or at least not actively listened to a song
Mhm.
by Dave Matthews. I just assumed that they were just some hippie band that was like filled with a bunch of people who were hugging trees, and they wrote like mediocre songs, but they were ultimately one of the most boring bands on the planet. That was sort of my assumption of this band, and I always shit on them. Listening to this album, it's far worse than I thought. Like, I don't know who allowed this band to exist for 10 albums at this point. Like, these songs are terrible.
Mm.
There's like, and I'm glad you mentioned the bridge part because I never made that connection. But I would listen to the song and be like, it's okay. There's some interesting stuff here. And it would
Mhm.
just nosedive at a certain point. It would just nosedive and be like, what is this garbage?
Mhm.
Why are you singing like this? Why are you singing like Kermit the Frog at this point? Like there's points where I'm like, you are off key. You are
Yeah.
not singing like within like the key of the song at this point. It's just like completely off. And there's rhythms in this that are just like, I don't understand why you've done this. Like some
Mhm.
of the drum fills that come in, I'm just like, why is it like this? Why is it like a heavy rock drum fill on this like acoustic song? I don't understand. Like, and on top of that, the songs were boring. The only
Mhm.
interesting part was that it like changed so much. They're like, oh, what just happened there? Oh, it turned into shit. But like it was like the most
Yeah.
boring album outside of it being terrible.
Yeah. It again, like I could say that there is every song in this album has a really cool little hook that I'm like, that's cool.
Right.
And then it just dives into this nonsense. Like even the one that I sounded like I was like in the Middle East, right?
I didn't understand like why
Yeah,
that
it's
that
like
Middle Eastern.
why is this on the album?
Yeah.
Right? Because it sounded so different from the other songs, right?
Yeah, but
It was kind of
the
like
rest of that song turned into something completely different.
yeah, yeah, and they don't know how to write a good bridge. It's just like,
It's
oh, we'll just mash. We have these two unfinished ideas, so we'll just mash them together into a song.
yeah, like I don't know. I don't know the what the appeal of this band is. I listened to this like 5 6 times like over and over again, and I just like I don't understand why this band is like popular. I couldn't
Yeah.
figure it out.
Mhm.
It's not like Dave Matthews is like has an incredible voice or anything. It's not terrible, but like
Yeah.
there's nothing special about it. And lyrically, like what is there in this? Like
And
I
it's
don't
blue and it's red.
like there's nothing to
Yeah.
tie me to any of these songs. Like
No.
I
This is a
didn't
very forgettable album. Very
I didn't
forgettable
understand.
that so much that before our last episode, I completely forgot what this album sounded like. So I had to listen to it again for for today's episode. Uh yeah, there are a handful of songs that I like of Dave Matthews, but there's not a song on this that will be added to that list.
Yeah. I don't know. Like and it's bad because like this is my first Dave Matthews
Mhm.
album that I've listened to, and I do not want to listen to anything by Dave Matthews
Mhm.
because of this album. He might be a legitimate songwriter on his older stuff, but man,
Mhm.
this album is
Like
it's poop.
and again, like this is a band that everybody likes because there's a lot of people in it and it's more of a live setting that you're going to want to watch these guys in. But even if they play these songs live, I would be like bathroom break.
No diapers for you.
No diaper. I don't need a diaper. There's definitely a song I could leave in a Dave Matthews Band concert, but uh yeah, it's just there's so many other bands with like because there's got to be like 12 or 15 people in his band with
Mm-hmm.
like all sorts of different instruments. Like it's almost like a mini orchestra
Mm-hmm.
in some cases. But there are bands that are like the Tedeschi Trucks band, like exponentially better. The Revivalists, exponentially better. There's so many bands out there that have way more, like a lot of band members that are killing it.
Yep.
Right. So and this is not one of them. And this album is garbage.
Yeah. It's so bad.
So
All right. Final thoughts and ratings on this, Eric. What are you gonna give it?
I with Dave Matthews, just go listen to their greatest hits. Just go listen to their
I'm
greatest
so
hits.
scared. I'm so scared. Like,
And there's a couple songs that you should probably check out that I would love your opinion on. But this album, it definitely is not one of them I'd recommend to anybody. I'm gonna give this I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10.
ooh, it's not very good.
3 out of 10 because it was produced well. Like the sound sounds good, and it gets 3 points just because of the little hooks that I enjoyed here and there.
I'm pretty sure I've never rated an album this low outside of my negative 1,000 for Def Leppard.
Oh damn!
But I'm actually gonna give this a 1 out of 10. It is the worst album I've ever listened to on this podcast. It is terrible. It is terrible. It's recorded well. That's why it's getting a 1 out of 10. Like, you can hear everything. I don't know if that's the baseline you should aim for, but it's a 1 out of 10. It is a terrible album.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. Oh man.
See, even Luton agrees. It is actually bad. It's like horrible.
Oh.
And I never want to listen to this album again. I'm deleting it off my phone. Like, it's gone.
I'm deleting it too. So
all right, that was our discussion on Walk Around the Moon by Dave Matthews Band. Also, why isn't it the Dave Matthews Band? Why is it Dave Matthews Band? Like, why is there no the?
maybe the Dave Matthews Band was a band when they started that were better than them.
It'd make more sense to call it the Dave Matthews Band. It's so annoying.
It would.
Ben apparently downloaded it, then deleted it without listening to it.
That's how bad it was.
Don't listen to it. All right. For those of you following along with us every single week, the album we will be listening to and discussing will be Noel Gallagher and the High Flying Birds' brand new album, Council Skies. That will be the album for next week. I think that's actually it. Yes, we're at time. Let's wrap this up. So, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. This is the Crossroads Music Podcast here at twitch.tv/the Crossroads Music Podcast. We are live here every 10 p.m. ET, 7 p.m. PT. We're back from our long hiatus, but yes, we'll actually be back next Monday.
Yes, we will.
Catch us on Spotify, Apple Music, all the places where you get your podcasts. Thanks, Luton, for throwing the Discord link in chat. Eric, anything else? Did I forget anything?
I mean, next time you're in your local record store, just let them know that this album was a terrible album and they should take it off their front shelf.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, cool. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you all next time.
Peace.